Ding. Okay, there we go. Think we should have audio now. All right, let's see. Double checking on my end. Might be a little bit delayed. All right, let's see. Ding. Okay, there we go. All right, I probably hear that, but all right, I got everything set up. Welcome, welcome. Always a little bit of technical difficulties to get started, but welcome. Thank you for joining. I am going to go ahead and jump right into this so that we can get through. And then, of course, whenever anybody watches the replay, I'm not just killing time. But if anybody has any questions or comments, please feel free to drop those in the chat. I will try to answer that once I'm through this presentation. And yeah, go from there. So thank you so much for joining. Anybody watching the replay, thank you so much for jumping in and joining. And I hope this is helpful for you. I hope that you are able to find sort of some clarity on your journeys. I know this is hard and confusing, can feel very overwhelming. And so I hope this kind of starts to bring you some clarity. Okay. So what we're covering today is 5 reasons that you keep questioning your true sexuality. For many women, I know that once they sort of have this aha moment, this realization, they continue to keep questioning and second guessing and, going back and wondering, is this really truly me? And how do I know? And what if it's a mistake? And so I want to go over the reasons why you're questioning this, give you some understanding, and then also some reasons, or not reasons, some ways that you can start to gain some clarity and move past this questioning stage. All right. Whoops. Okay. So number 1 is that you do still feel love for your male partner. Okay. You love maybe even the relationship that you have with them. Maybe you feel that you have had a good relationship and, he's a very good man, a good friend. Maybe you've known each other for a very long time. And maybe even at some point you did actually even feel physically or sexually attracted to him. So all of this is making you wonder if there's maybe something else wrong or something else going on that is contributing to this questioning your sexuality. Maybe the relationship has been more strained, or maybe, just other things have come up and you're questioning maybe that you're bored or looking for something new and exciting. And so all of this makes you start to question and wonder because you do still feel love for this person. Okay. It's a normal thing to feel, these are people that we spend a good portion of our lives with typically. So this holding on to this love still makes you question and wonder, what is really going on. Okay. If anybody can relate with that, drop a comment below, let me know. Okay. All right. The next reason is that it's kind of funny, but you hear other women complain about sex with men. So maybe you're out with friends or it's just something that you hear online. And, we often hear straight women complain about sex with their husbands, especially after kids. Maybe they're in situations where they don't feel, emotionally supported. So they don't want that physical intimacy. But here's the difference. Straight women that go through this aren't attracted to other women. So this is the difference. And it's confusing and it's hard because you're going, okay, well, maybe I found myself in this place where I just don't desire sex with my husband. And again, you start to question and wonder, is there something wrong with my hormones? Is this like an age thing? Is there some type of imbalance? And I hear I hear these other people complaining about this. So maybe this is just a normal thing to be going through. But the key difference here is if you are going through this because you also find that you're attracted to women and thinking about sex or intimacy with women and having a desire for that with women, then this is a clear indication of this being actually about your sexuality, not something else that's going on. Because truly straight women will go through these things and complain about sex and have that going on, but they are not questioning, wondering, thinking about their sexuality. They're just going through a lack of a sex drive. Okay. If anybody can relate to that and feel like you have gone through this, leave a comment below. Okay. All right. Number 3. Uh, well, where did my slide go? That's interesting. Okay. Gaslighting. Gaslighting from yourself. Let me get all this on here. It's easier that way. Okay. I think that's it. All right. So gaslighting, you're gaslighting yourself, or even hearing this from others. Let's say you did open up to a friend, or you read things online. And so you start to gaslight your own thoughts and feelings. You try to rationalize them away. You try to um, make up excuses. And so it might be things like I've kind of mentioned, it's just a phase, or you tell yourself, all women lose interest in sex at some point. And um it's maybe it's just because we've had kids and lost this connection, and once the kids get older, then we will reconnect and have that time for us again. You might tell yourself that you're just bored in your relationship and it's just not as exciting and fun as it used to be. Or, maybe you're just seeking more of an emotional connection. And so you tell yourself that, oh, women are just more emotional. And, I just don't have that really strong emotional connection with my husband or male partner. And so maybe that's why I'm drawn to and wanting to connect with women. So really all this is, though, is gaslighting your own thoughts and feelings and emotions. You're trying to rationalize away and tell yourself that what you're really feeling isn't true and make excuses for it. You're really like invalidating your own feelings and reactions, what you're feeling and what you're going through. And again, there are straight women who potentially go through things like this, and maybe all of these are legitimate things that but again, they're not going through this with questioning women. They might really be going through a lessened sex drive. They might have lost a connection due to kids. They might feel bored, but they're over here on this other side thinking about other men, or even just being alone, or what life could be like if they were, with another person, but again, a male partner. They're not over here thinking, maybe I want to be with a woman. Okay. This is, again, the key difference that helps to clarify your sexuality. If you're going through all of this and having all of these thoughts because of attraction and interest in a woman, this is your body, your essence trying to tell you what your true sexuality is. Okay. But our logical brains have a really hard time accepting that. So that's why we go through this, questioning and trying to make sense of where these feelings and these thoughts are now coming from. All right. You have gone through this. Let me know. Okay. All right. Number 4. Why some of these did this. Internalized homophobia. This is a big one. Let me get all this on here. Okay. So due to upbringing, I myself grew up in a very religious Catholic upbringing, and being gay was wrong. And so we often carry around the sort of internalized homophobia that leads to just really struggling with accepting that this just might be who we truly are. Okay. You might feel some shame about your true sexuality. It can make you feel less than, or have these thoughts, but, being gay is wrong. And I know many of us live in the world today where this is becoming so much more normalized, but it is very, very difficult to fully remove the thoughts and the upbringing and our parents' voices or whoever we heard growing up saying things and teaching things like being gay is wrong. We hold that very, very deeply. And so even though you might feel, but I'm an ally and I'm supportive and all of that, when it comes to yourself, you might be having these thoughts of, but that can't be me. But again, that's just some internalized homophobia where you're still dealing with feeling like if that was you, maybe that means you're now less than, or if that was you, that's maybe wrong for you. It's okay for others, but wrong for you. And a lot of this comes back to like fear of change, scared of what others are going to think or say. You've been living life in one way for so long, and then now all of a sudden you're just going to say, oh, never mind, I'm gay, I'm queer. And that's a lot to deal with. And there's a lot of fear that comes along with that, of how you'll be received. What impact is this going to have on your social circles and relationships around you, and so yes, this internalized homophobia makes you keep questioning and second guessing and wondering, is this who I truly am? And also this thought of, how have I missed this for so long? I was straight for my whole life. How am I now all of a sudden really gay? Or because that is truly what happens for some women, where there is this sort of catalytic type event where this light bulb goes off and they go, oh my God, I think I'm gay. But again, other women go through this where they've kind of always had this knowing that they are, but suppressed it due to, societal norms and standards and gay being wrong. And so, whatever situation you're in, you're still wrestling with this sort of internalized homophobia of feeling like this is wrong for you. Okay. So, this is a reason that you keep going through and questioning and wondering and second guessing, what your true sexuality is. Okay. If you felt any of this, leave a comment below. All right. And then number 4 is just resisting change. Okay. All right. So often women on this journey just don't want the change they know this will bring. Okay. This does mean typically a very, very big change. It unfortunately often means the end of marriages and divorce and finding new homes and places to live and wondering how, how we talked about how family is going to view you, this coming out process. And so a lot of times you just don't want to experience that change. There's a lot of fear around that change because it's an unknown. You don't know what that's going to look like. You don't know how people are going to react. You maybe sometimes don't know where that means you're going to live. You have kids involved in the process, and that fear of changing what life looks like for them. And so you get stuck in this cycle of continuing to question and look for reasons and excuses to keep living your heterosexual life because it feels safer. And that's normal to feel that way. Our bodies, we are programmed to our brains, our bodies, all of it are programmed to keep us in states where we feel safe. When you are in a current situation, you know what to expect. It's predictable, it's stable, it feels comfortable. And so our bodies want to keep us there where it deems us feeling safe. But the other side of that is that very often we are plagued with mental, emotional, and even physical turmoil. I talk to and work with women who are suffering physical side effects of this, not sleeping, not eating, losing weight or gaining weight because they're stressed, rapid heart rate, just other things going on because they are suppressing who they truly are. So while it feels safe to stay where it feels comfortable, this often just wreaks havoc on our bodies and our mental and emotional states because we are denying who we truly are. Okay. So this resistance of change does keep you in this cycle of questioning, but it really just wears on you and builds up over time. Okay, so those are those 5 reasons. And then now we're going to go into sort of some ways to gain clarity about your sexuality. Okay, so what you can do is start to reflect on your past relationships, even your current relationship and just past relationships that you've had. And then think about both your emotional and physical attraction to both men and women. Okay. Do your feelings of physical attraction, your emotional attraction, do they, and like in relationships, do they align with the relationships that you've had? Or do you feel more comfortable? Do you feel more emotional pull, more physical pull to potentially a relationship that you desire with a woman? Okay. So reflect on that. How have you felt? And again, kind of what I talked about, if you're going through all these questioning things, ask yourself, am I questioning all of this because I'm desiring to be with another man, and I'm potentially just bored and unsettled in my current relationship with a male partner? Or am I going through all of this because I'm emotionally and physically drawn to wanting to be in a relationship with a woman? When those feelings, an emotional and physical attraction align, just feeling more comfortable when you think about it of being with a woman, then this is again a very clear indicator of what your true sexuality is. Okay. Now, next, pay attention to patterns. Notice any reoccurring thoughts or feelings that arise when you're around women or men. Okay. Journaling can kind of help to clarify these patterns over time. When you're with your husband or How are you feeling? Do you want to be around him? Do you desire to be around him? Does your body react to his body? Do you want him to touch you and be physical with you? Are you avoiding that? And then if there's potentially any woman in your life, many women on this journey have a catalyst where it sparks all of these feelings, or just even other women throughout life. How do you feel when you're around them? Does your body respond? Do you feel emotionally engaged? Do you want more time and connection with them? And starting to make a mental note of how you respond and react and pay attention to those patterns will again help you gain more clarity on your true sexuality. Okay. Other thing to do is experiment with some self expression. So, expressing yourself in places that are safe to explore your identity. Okay. This could be being around some LGBTQ plus communities, or, experimenting with how you start to dress or talk or present yourself. What feels comfortable to you? Are you comfortable in your own skin now, or are you longing to sort of present yourself in a different way? And maybe you can experiment subtly with some of those things to figure out what feels more comfortable and right to you. Okay. The other thing to do is talk to someone who understands, seek out people who have been on similar journeys. The late life lesbian community that I run, full of women who are all going through this. Being able to talk to somebody else who understands what you're going through is incredibly validating. It's great if you have a friend that you can share this with. I had like my best friend going through all of this who knew all of this about me. She was great and supportive and understanding, but it was still very different when I would talk to women who were going through this or had been through this. There was just such this deeper connection and understanding and validation of the things that I had like felt and experienced. And so finding people who understand what you're going through is incredibly helpful to be validated in your experience. Okay. The other thing too is to listen to your intuition. I've kind of talked about this with some of those other things about how our bodies, feel more comfortable. Again, kind of paying attention to patterns and reflecting on past relationships. Paying attention to where you feel comfortable, like what feels right deep inside, what brings you peace, is there trying to guide you to that clarity. And often we suppress what we know very deep down inside, again, because of fear. We talked a lot about that just on the other slide. So starting to listen to your body and what feels right within your own body. Okay. Again, it's different than our minds. Our minds are going to keep racing and questioning and doubting, but start to also, pay attention to patterns, pay attention to when your body actually feels at peace, when you feel relaxed, when you feel safe, when you feel comfortable, when you feel good about somebody, trying to touch you or interact with you emotionally, and start to listen to that and pay attention to those patterns as well. Okay. So stopping the cycle of doubt. Okay. And this takes time. Put it on a slide and talk about it. It seems like it should just be oh so easy. And I know that it's not. But these are just the steps that you will eventually go through. Once you get through all of this other side, you will look back and see all of these steps that you go through. But this is kind of how it goes, and you can start to just be more aware of this, but acknowledging your truth, understanding that you're questioning your sexuality is valid, and it's an important part of your journey. It's okay that you are going through this, and allowing yourself some grace with that, to acknowledge that truth and this questioning. Okay. Starting to release these internal expectations. This is that internalized homophobia and just sort of these societal norms that have been placed on us. Letting go of those societal and family pressures. You are not living for anybody else but yourself. I know we have family and I know we have kids and we have to take care of them, but it doesn't mean at the sacrifice of denying who we truly are. When we deny who we are and we're not showing up as our true selves, the people around us can't actually love us for our whole selves. They're loving sort of this masked version of you. And to get deeper and more meaningful connections by showing up as your true self, that allows for people to know you at your core. And that leads to better, stronger, deeper relationships. And even with like your kids and things like that. So but yes, working towards letting go of those expectations that this is how things should be for you, and following with what actually is right for you. Okay. Creating boundaries with doubt and creating boundaries in general. When doubt keeps in and you're second guessing and questioning, it's okay to recognize it, but to not let it control your choices, and start to replace some of that doubt with affirmations like, I am allowed to evolve. I am allowed to question this. I am allowed to be me and be who I truly am. Okay. So acknowledging that doubt and those questions that come up, but not letting them completely take you over. Okay. Journaling and writing some of this out, can be helpful too. Focusing on self acceptance, embracing who you are without judgment. You deserve to live in alignment with your truth. You deserve to be exactly who you are, and focusing on accepting you, kind of along with all these other things we've talked about, clearing out the voices in the, the expectations and all of that. And focusing on being okay with being you, however that looks. And it doesn't have to look perfect. That's the thing too. Life is messy and it's confusing, and you don't have to have it all figured out. Society tells us, when we're in our 30s and our 40s and our 50s or our 60s, like, the older you get, the more society expects you that, like, you should have figured it out by now. But that's not always the case, and that's okay. Okay. You can be who you are at any stage and at any point in your life. Okay. The other thing you do is seek professional guidance on this. So, talking with a coach or a therapist. I also offer some one on one coaching that's designed to help you specifically through this journey, work on that self acceptance and just sort of that identity exploration. It's a safe space to express what you're thinking, what you're feeling, the questions that you have without judgment. I completely understand. Having some type of guidance to work through this with you is very helpful and important as well. It's a lot to carry and bear on your own. Okay. And so, leading into that, having support on your journey. If you are looking for some continued support and some help on your journey as you go through this, I have both the Late Life Lesbian community that I run. It's a safe, private online space where women going through all stages of this journey, starting from just questioning to coming out, starting to date, are sharing their experiences and there to help support each other. We do a weekly group meeting where we hop on a Zoom call and can all talk and share and just kind of see where that goes. There's also guided coaching support within the group in that. And then we do like a monthly live workshop in there as well. So there's a lot of support inside that community. And then also, like I mentioned, the one on one coaching. If you'd rather have a more private one on one, or personalized support, that's always an option. Well, it's a safe space to talk about your feelings, navigate through some of those difficult conversations that you may be needing to have and gain clarity. And then outside of that, there are other places for support. There are other Facebook groups online. There are podcasts out there. There are books. There are some other women that I've interviewed on my YouTube channel here that have gone through this and wrote wrote books about it. So really just finding other ways to connect with people who understand what you're going through and to validate this experience for yourself. Okay. All right. If you are interested in either the community or the coaching, there will be links below this video to get more information on that. And you're always welcome to reach out to me and ask any questions that you have, and I can kind of help point you in the right direction and offer some support. So thank you. That wraps everything up today. I'm going to hop on here and look at the comments and see if there's anything that needs to be answered. But thank you for making these videos. You're welcome. What am I worried about is, will I still be able to have a family, children? Of course, why wouldn't you be able to? There's other ways to have kids these days. I mean, adoption, fostering, there's so many ways to create a family that doesn't come from just, a man and a woman. If you follow and start to see some lesbian couples on TikTok or Instagram, many of them are having families together. So of course, again, that's just sort of, society has told us that in order to have a family, you need a man and a woman and a mom and a dad, and that's what a family is. But there are queer couples forming happy families all the time. So of course you can still have children and have that family. I realized it wasn't something wrong with me my first time with a woman. Yeah. That's the thing too. I think a lot of women, I'm assuming this is related to sort of maybe sex or physical intimacy with men. I've talked to a lot of women and heard stories where, women just didn't know they felt like something was wrong with them. They'd hear other women talking about, enjoying sex and with men and things like that, and thinking like, I just am not having these experiences. Like, I don't get it. And then they'd be with a woman and be like, oh my gosh, I get it now. Sometimes it does just take that experience for all the pieces to get put together and go, oh wow, like this is who I really am. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out how to tell my husband I want a divorce. We haven't been intimate over 6 years, and now I have a catalyst that made me realize I want to be with a woman. Yeah, that is the hard part. And if I think I have a guide, like a conversation guide on here too, that kind of works through ways that you can word that conversation. And then I also have another video on here that goes through sort of the 5 reactions to that men typically have when you do come out to them and and tell them or saying that you want divorce. I don't know if your husband knows that you even have an interest in women so far, but yeah, like both of those videos would be helpful. And I would definitely recommend having some type of support in place before you do that. It can be hard, and as long as you've been kind of wrestling with this and figuring things out for yourself, it's very often for husbands to want to try and fight and say, we can work on this, we can figure out, solutions and all of that, which can kind of trigger you back into this questioning and second guessing and self doubt. But when you have that support to go back to and just share when you're struggling, it can help you kind of stay true to you knowing what it is that's truly right for you. So yeah, I hope that you have some type of support in place as you go through that. It will just make it easier to navigate through that. I knew my sexuality. What stops me is religious beliefs. I came from a third world country. So yeah, there is very, very strong religious beliefs that stand in the way of people realizing their sexuality, and a lot of that starts with sort of deconstructing some of those beliefs that we were brought up with and realizing, um, kind of finding your own path. Is this what you truly believe for yourself, or is it what other people have told you you're supposed to believe? So, you can still be religious and be queer. There are plenty of people out there who still follow some type of religious organization and are queer, but figuring out what is actually right for you is kind of a really good first step with that. How do you explore this further being married? I don't want to cheat, but I feel I need to explore things to know. I totally get that. I can't be that good example for you because I did cheat and figured out some of that, which also led into opening up our marriage more. My ex-husband always knew of my interest in women, but even with that, I just, I didn't have a full understanding of who I was and what all of that meant at the time. I thought it was different. I thought, I had my husband and I thought, well, I'm interested in women too. And, very well aware now that that was still cheating. But that's hard. It truly is hard. With and talk to plenty of women who have shared this with their husbands, who then say, well, you need to figure this out, or, I'm fine if you explore that because you need to know. But then some that aren't, and some that just say, no, like, I'm not okay with that. If this is who you are and that's what you want, then, how can that relationship and that marriage be the right thing? So, you're going to have to make some tough choices if you don't want to be the person that cheats. And I commend you for that. But sometimes that means having to make some tough choices and have some hard conversations to explore that. I would say, though, that if you're at this point of feeling like this is so strong that you need to explore, you probably already have your answer. It's, again, just some of that fear standing in the way of what that then might mean for your life. So looks like all the questions and comments that we have. I don't know if this froze for a period of time. If it did, very sorry about that. But yes, going to wrap things up here. Thank you all so much for joining me. Again, if there's any other questions that you have, feel free to reach out. If you are looking for support and guidance, come join us in the community, and or reach out to me one-on-one. And yeah, I will try to be putting together some more workshops, and hopefully connect with you guys in the next one. All right. Thanks so much.